It's fine, you keep it as it is. But if you want it rounded, you have to determine how many buttons you want on your jacket. So this is a 2 button, and I want like maybe 5.5 inches in between both buttons. So I measure from here 5.5 inches down. Or 6 inches down for my first button, my second button.
So 5.5 inches from each button, right?
5.5, 6 inches. It depends on how you want it, but you don't want it more than 6 inches because it will be too spaced. The reason why you measure, because from this button to this button is supposed to be like a straight line. So if it's going to start curving, it curves below this button, the second button. You don't want to curve it at this button, then you want your second button into the curve. No. You always want from this button to this button to be a straight line, then it starts curving from the second button. If it's a 3 button, it starts curving from the last button. Then you can determine exactly how you want the shape. That's up to you. But I always try to go in like 3 and 3.5 inches. I drop it 1/2 inch.
We can decide wherever.
Yes, you have to determine how you want the shape you want. I'm just telling you the way I construct my patterns. I go down 3.5 inches from the bottom hem because I want my front slightly longer. Or if I want to keep this as it is, then I'll come back to his point wherein I will raise my shoulder slope at the top by 1/2 inch. If you raise your shoulder slope at the top by 1/2 inch and you blend to 0 here, it's going to make the front longer still.
How much do you make it longer on the front? Your hand?
It's a designer stuff, but because it's going to be rounded, it's going to be slightly longer than the back. If you look at even the ready-to-wear jackets or the tailor jackets, it's slightly hiking in the back. The front is always longer. So I'm going to make it 1 inch long. It's not going to be like a straight line. You drop 1/2 inch, then you determine your curve. Then I place my 1 here. I place my 1 here.
You said you went 3 3/8?
3.5.
3.5.
And I place my 1 at the point and I draw my curve. The next thing I have to do is to blend it to here with a nicer curve as well.
You went 3.5
Okay, so you went-
from center front.
Yes.
Yeah. And then 1 inch down, right?
Yes.
And then you curve.
See? So I'm going to make this with a nicer curve here. And I blend it here. So that when this is attached to the side panel, it matches. See? The side panel, you attach this point to the side panel, it matches. So it's only the front that is longer. So this is like my shape in the front. Is it clear?
Yep.
So at the top, what are we cutting out?
You're cutting E, F, H, G. You see?
So not.
No, this is the shoulder seam. This is your collar. This is what we just drafted.
But I thought the collar was a part of the body.
No, this is the lapel. The lapel is different from the collar. You
Oh,
have
yeah,
the
yeah.
collar, you have the lapel. The lapel is from the body. The collar is a separate piece that is attached to the lapel.
Yeah.
It's attached along the neckline.
At the bottom, when you did the curve, did you went like straight after that first curve onto the side panel, or is it still curved? Because I can see it from here.
From here?
Yeah. You just went straight, or did you
No,
went
I
in a-
curved it. I make sure you always want to
Everything's
make sure
on
there are certain curves you want them to be very smooth. Try as best as possible for them not to be angled or not to be crooked. They have to be very smooth.
But you have to go back.
So it should be natural curve
Yes.
to 0. Can you just go over what you're cutting again? Sorry, I sort of missed that. On the lapel.
The lapel.
Or the collar. Because
Let me-
lapel's hard to
let me-
be
let me
for
trace.
center.
Yeah,
No, the
that's what I was-
lapel is going to be, this lapel is going to be inclusive on your front body.
Right.
The lapel, the neckline is going to be inclusive on your, because the pattern you have presently, there is no overlap on your pattern. So we created our overlap. The overlap included our lapel. So when you're adding the overlap, now you trace the lapel as it is, the neckline. Then you trace the collar separately.
Gotcha.
This is the collar.
Okay.
You trace it separately and you fold it along this line. Then you retrace this so that you have the full collar instead of half a collar. Because this one is half a collar.
Okay.
Let me,
No, I understand what you
We're
mean.
gonna go around,
So
right?
GH is just in the back, so you,
What is our grain line on it?
the green line is always, yes, it's the center back line.
Okay.
I always tell people the green line is always the center back line.
And what about the seam allowances?
You add half an inch seam allowances all around.
Even in the notch?
Yeah, you're going to shave it off, but for us to be on the safer side, let's make all our seam allowances half an inch. Isn't that what you added to the entire pattern?
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you add a fourth. Depending on-
I told you I want to make everything simple. Even on our pattern, we have half an inch seam allowance along the center front.
Yeah.
Along the neckline, we have half an inch. So let's just do everything half an inch minus the hemline. So now I have my collar.
Is it gonna be different, like, in real life?
Which one?
Seam allowances for them?
No, in real life, yes, it can be different. That's if you're a professional. If you're a professional, always along the neckline or the center front, it's going to be less seam allowance. But when, as a matter of fact, when you are constructing it, you have to shave off. But the reason why I want you to keep everything half an inch is to make it simple.
Right. No, I know that.
But you want to minimize the bulkiness when you're actually constructing your collar. So when you put your top collar and under collar together, you want to make sure you reduce the seam allowance. So you see, this is my center front. Like this is G, H, F, E. See? Now I have to fold my collar like this along this line and retrace it. Okay?
Hey, you should be in fashion. 13-year-old. Yeah, you're fashion. The one that says fashion and Hello Daddy.
So now you have your full collar. See?
Yeah, of course.
Starting early.
so what is it going like? Going like this or this?
The green, this is the green line. Always the green line goes according to the center back on jacket's collar.
There's no dots.
Really?
And you search everything again. No seam allowances.
Really? Oh, I have no idea. Yeah, I'm taking that class next
Who are you checking with?
I have no idea. I need to check this.
Do it. Where's she?
Yeah, what do you want to do?
So you see, this is my full collar. Yes. Now you have the full collar, and you cut two of these. You have the top collar and you have the under collar. If you going to top stitch your collar, then keep both collars the same, the top and the under collar. But if you're not going to have any top stitch on the collar, then make your top collar 1/8 of an inch wider than your under collar. So
1/8?
by so doing,
1/8.
yes, you take 0 from here, from E. So this is E and F. You keep your ruler here at E. And you come in 1/8 of an inch. So 1/8 of an inch. And you shave off 1/8 of an inch as well at the top.
You're adjusting the bottom collar right now.
No, the top. You see, the bottom is always, in this case, the bottom is longer than the top.
Whoa.
The top is the shorter.
Which one is 1/8 smaller?
The under collar. We don't call it bottom collar. You don't want to get confused. It's the top collar and under collar. See, so you make sure it's 0 at E, and you come out 1/8 of an inch at this point, 1/8 of an inch right through, and 0 here as well.
Why?
Because you, as I was explaining in the other class, you don't want the under collar to be shown on the correct side when the collar rolls. So when it's smaller, it pulls the seam allowance on the inside. So when actually the collar rolls, it's hidden underneath the collar itself.
Can I see that?
I need to see that when you're done too.
As a matter of fact, in like advanced tailoring, we may cut the under collar on the bias. You don't want to cut it on a straight grain.
That was so smart.
Wait, we cut it on the bias?
Yes, in advanced tailoring, but when you cut it on the bias, there's going to be a side seam, a center back seam.
Okay.
I'll explain to you when she's done with it.
And sorry, one more time. This is the under collar or the top?
This is the top
collar?
collar.
The top collar.
The under collar is the one that it's in the dotted line that I was just tracing.
So it's the undercollar. The line that you just established is
Is
the undercollar.
the under collar.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is where you stop the 1/8.
Let me see. No, the one it goes up to this point.
Up to the center back point.
Yes, it goes from, this is the center front in the left. This is your right center front. This is your left center front. F and F are going to meet at the center front. F is here. The one F is here. The other one is here. So it starts from this F to this F. It comes up minus 1/8 of an inch all around, and it comes back to the F here. See, if you are to cut this on the bias, you just look at the box. Then this diagonal line becomes your grain line. But then in this situation, you want to still maintain the 1/8 of an inch, less than 1/8 of an inch all around. Then you add half an inch seam allowance here. When you're adding the seam allowances, you cut this on the bias and you add half an inch seam allowance beyond the center back. So that when you are putting them together, you cut two of these. You join them together at the center back. The reason is, if you are dealing with a fabric that is very rigid, in as much as this one is, the under collar is shorter than the top collar, at the top. When you reduce it, it becomes shorter, like 1/4 of an inch less than the top collar. If you are dealing with a fabric that is very rigid, you naturally have to force it. You have to shear in the ease. But if it's cut on the bias, there is going to be some amount of elasticity. It stretches because it's diagonally cut. Then it will naturally align itself with the edges.
So cut it on. Wait.
It's up to you.
Oh, okay.
You have two ways of doing it. If you cut it on a straight grain,
Yeah, it's gonna
then
be like
no, it's still good, but you have to force it. You have to, because
yeah.
one is longer than the other. You have to shear in the ease so that it actually matches from edge to edge. But if you cut it on a bias, it's easier for you to match it because it stretches a little bit. Then just as I said, if you want the double-breasted, you just have to increase the overlap. When you increase the overlap, all what you did up here, you do it along the edge of the double-breasted. Say if I want my double-breasted to be 3 inches and 6 inches, the overlap of my double-breasted to be 6 inches, I draw a 3 inches line here from the center front. See? So now, in case of, if this is my break point, my same break point, most of the time in the double-breasted, the break point is higher. It's not going to be, because double-breasted, you have 6 buttons or 4 buttons as you want. So the break point is going to be higher. So let's say the break point is going to be like 10 inches from the high point shoulder. You measure 10 inches. And the 10 inches is actually going to be on the center front line, not the edge. So that you connect this line through the center front line and it comes down here. So you connect B through the center front and it comes down here.
Or you just extended that line on the first button? Or what line do you connect it to? You just have to cross the center front?
Everything goes through the center front, but definitely because it's a double-breasted and the overlap is wider, the overlap in this case is going to be 6 inches versus 1.5 inches as in the single-breasted. So you have to raise the break point. The break point is never going to be 16 inches because you have like 3 sets of buttons. So the break point is going to come up. You have to determine where you want your break point to be. Then you measure from the high point shoulder to that break point. You connect the B, which is your collar band height, to the break point at the center front and to the edge of the double-breasted, the center front placket.